Uh, so
Hello and
Shirley, I
welcome,
think
everyone.
Uvika will just introduce a why. And
Yeah, go ahead. Are we supposed to introduce a why, or does everybody know about a why? We only have maybe one
yeah,
person who's new. So,
yeah,
Gregina
go
will
ahead.
go ahead and make the introductions. So, we are Asian Women Advancing AI. We started this community last year, and before you came on, Padmini was telling a lot of people that we are about to complete 1 year, and we'll be celebrating our 1 year anniversary in Washington, D.C., where the seed was planted. And the whole mission and goal of the community is to empower Asian women to shape the future of AI and give everybody a chance to learn from each other, but also have a chance to, um, share knowledge and also spotlight other women, right? So super excited that you could join us today. And with that, we are going to kick off our today's session. It's the Learn and Lead session, and we have an exciting presentation by our amazing speaker Shirley Chen. So we'll just tell you how the evening is going to progress. Many of you already know. Once I hand it over to Padmini, she's going to introduce our fabulous speaker who's going to be giving us a presentation. So stay tuned. And while the presentation is in progress, please make sure that you are on mute. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And once the presentation is done, we will have 10 to 15 minutes for Q&A. And with that, I would like to hand it over to Padmini.
Thanks, Uvika. Hey, everyone. Shirley is from Oxo AI with over 15 years of experience in commercial excellence consulting and analytics. She has driven revenue growth, optimized pricing models, and implemented data-driven solutions across consumer products, technology, fintech, and healthcare. Shirley has led teams using machine learning and statistical modeling to strengthen decision-making and boost operational efficiencies, delivering measurable business impact. Passionate about AI, she's eager to collaborate with OXO AI's team and contribute to both client delivery and innovate AI applications. Shirley holds an MBA and a Bachelor of Science from Cornell University, along with the completion of the AI Executive Program at Columbia University to expand her expertise in emerging technologies. Shirley, so glad to have you here. Thank you so much, and over to you.
Absolutely. Very nice to meet you all. Thank you for that very good introduction. And thank you for welcoming me. I mean, it's really nice to see other women who are really interested in this topic. So very excited to share a little bit about the OpenAI SDK. So with that, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. Can you guys see?
Yep, we can see it.
Perfect. So the presentations, I'm going to be jumping around a little bit. So I will kind of keep this not on presentation mode, but hopefully, everyone can see things quite all right. So a little bit about myself, as you've heard, currently working at Oxo AI. And so what we do is we work with enterprises. A lot of them are Fortune 500s to figure out how to use agentic AI for the most part, but really, machine learning, lots of different types of solutions in a really practical way. And so this is not really something we do. This is more just a fun example of agents that I thought could be a little bit of interest. And so what I wanted to share with you guys today is just something that's a little bit more fun and kind of silly, but hopefully it's kind of interesting. And it's essentially using a agent framework to do some home design. And so the idea here is, there's a lot of different agent frameworks out there, right? And so the purpose of this one isn't really to kind of go through all of the different agent frameworks, and it's not really to kind of go too deep into OpenAI SDK framework either. It's really just to kind of show what the agent frameworks do, and then kind of give a bigger picture of where it sits, right? So the idea is that we'll kind of show, okay, where does this sit in terms of the enterprise agent AI stack? And let's use a few of the simple functions within OpenAI SDK framework just to show how it works. So we'll go through a demo, and then we'll go through the code and the demo and relate it back to the framework so that we can go high level, the stack, the different types of agent frameworks, OpenAI SDK go through this little example. And then hopefully by the end, it'll be kind of interesting. So unfortunately, by then you won't become a home designer by any means. You won't even become, an OpenAI SDK expert. But I think hopefully, at least we'll kind of take you through the journey of understanding how to use this. Okay, perfect. So with that, a little bit about the background for this, right? So I built this presentation out about a few months ago. This is when there's a couple of new releases from OpenAI. One was the Agent SDK framework. So this came out in March, April 2025. And then the other piece that came out at the same time around was DALL-E 3. So I don't know if you guys remember how, the images were prior to this, but it wasn't really good quality. So trying to generate any sort of design was just not, well done, right? In fact, I don't know if I would, use this to create any sort of design work, but think of applying these type of frameworks to other models and might not, replace real design work, but in terms of aspiring ideas, could be something to consider. So for example, if you're in marketing and you wanted to come up with some sort of marketing campaign, right? Building out something like this probably won't take you to, exactly what you need, but kind of inspire some ways of thinking. Okay, so with that, these are some of the designs that I generated using this demo. And so this first design is the kind of a Japandi style, which is a minimalist style. It's very bright, kind of, a mix between Scandinavian and Japan aesthetic is what I'm told. So this is one example of what we built out through this demo. And then on the very opposite end of it is a kind of a design that's highly maximist, right? And so what you can see is that, when we're building out these designs, one, the style of it is highly coordinated. And then two, in terms of how you're specifying the structure of these things, it's meant to be almost like a blueprint and where you can kind of choose and pick and choose, where the furniture goes and things like that. And so what we want to do with you guys is show just an example. We'll do maybe a French country design. We'll probably just generate a couple of the images just to give you a feel for, what this does. And then we'll dive into, the actual framework and also, really the technical details behind it. But just to start off a little bit on the fun side. So this is the little application I built in Hugging Face. And the idea here is that when you're building design, a lot of times the struggle with kind of the artwork in these type of things in general is that it doesn't give you a very good structure, right? If you said, hey, I want a room, with a bed and a window and, two nightstands, it's not guaranteed you can place them exactly what you want. So the idea here is to add a little bit of structure to it. Essentially what this does on this panel, you kind of decide what your room looks like. And then this part is the output. So let me start from scratch and then I'll show you kind of an example. And here I put the text in here because I'm sure you guys don't want to watch me type all this out. So let me just kind of go through and just copy and paste. So here's going to be a living room. Let's say it's 10 by, 12 by 10, you can change it. I'm just kind of, let's say I want a really high ceiling for some reason. Maybe I want, 3 windows, a door. This is basically the furniture that you would want to have in here. So I wrote, coffee table, sofa, some fancy French chairs, a chandelier. Kind of curious to see if I'll actually generate all this. Let's see. So these are the furniture that I want, right? Now, there's probably things in the room that are fixed that you can't move. So for example, maybe there's wooden beams, maybe there's a fireplace, etc., right? And so let me just copy that in. So here I'm saying, hey, there's a limestone plaster fireplace. So hopefully it doesn't put the sofa in the fireplace. And this is where you can put in the constraints. So for example, if I want to say, hey, I want a seating arrangement around the fireplace to encourage conversation, I want large windows, etc., you can put that here. Then you can choose the design. So I kind of showed a couple of these here, but so I think it was the Maximist and the Tripandi. And so now we're going to do the French country one. And in terms of the colors, let's go with sage green, bright and inviting. Whoops. We can put that in here. And then for materials, natural wood, stone, iron, that sort of thing, just for that authentic feel. So now I'm going to run the pipeline, and I'm going to hope that it works because it broke earlier when I was trying this. So okay, this is good. It looks like it's progressing. And so while it's progressing, let me give you a little bit of a background on what it's actually doing. More kind of high-level illustrative, and then we can go into the details. So how it works. So basically, in the back end, there are all these little agents working together. And the reason it's helpful to structure agents out in some sort of workflow is because sometimes you want them to do things in a particular sequence, and sometimes you want them to be very specialized in what they do. And so, for example, if you just put a giant prompt in there and just generate the room, it may not come out the way you want, right? So the first piece of it, we just have an agent. This guy here is just to take the inputs and then kind of allocate it out to the team. And so the first person in this list, this little guy here, is the room layout agent. And so he's the one that's going in and saying, okay, this is the size of the room. It has this many windows, this many doors, the ceiling's this high. So he kind of sets out the overall structure of the room. The furnishing one basically takes into account the furnishings. He also takes into account the constraints, so where certain things can go or not go. And the aesthetic agent is basically the color and the style. So the sage green, the brightness of the room, the French countryside. So these inputs are then allocated to these little agents, and they're essentially, we'll show you once we run everything. There's very custom prompts in the back end to make sure that they're doing the job as a person with that skill set, right? So, so then basically what's going to be happening is that there's a blender agent, a blueprint agent, and a final designer. And I don't know if you guys have used computer, administered design, so CAD tools, but basically, sometimes it's nice to have the design, but the reality is if you're really a designer, you kind of want to just be able to, put the structure into a tool like this. So the one that I have here is Blender. There's many others. This one just happened to be a free one. So this guy is basically saying, okay, I know what the layout is. I know what the furnishing is. I could care less what the aesthetic is. I just need to come up with, the structure of the room, right? So these two little folks, they pass the instructions to the Blender agent, and then he's able to say, okay, given the size, the constraints, the furnishings, the layout of my room, how do I structure it? So he does that. At the same time, these all three, so these two guys, again, more of the structure side, the layout and the furnishing, they pass information to the blueprint agent. And so the blueprint agent, think of it as a blueprint designer, right? Same idea, very structured. This is more code. This is more kind of the structural layout. And this is where, if you just ask to generate a room with a couch and things like that, it may not put it in the exact same spot you want it to be. But this person here basically lays things out as you would like it with the constraints that you want. In a very formatted JSON structure. And then basically this JSON file, now the aesthetic actually matters, right? So the structure design along with the aesthetic. So think of this like the skin that goes over the blueprint with the colors and materials and all these good stuff. And the French, countryside design, they go together and they feed the final designer who puts it all together and provides the final output. So the reason we do that is for consistency, right? So if you had, just random requests for a blender, a design and a blueprint, if things aren't structured in a particular way, they could actually be quite different. So this is kind of how this little family of agents are working together. Oh, okay, this is great. So it's also possible that, it's possible I have to pay my bill. So give me 1 second. Oh, the connection's reconnected. So I think it was like a connection issue. So let's run the pipeline again. So while it's doing that, actually, let me also stop presenting. because earlier when I was doing this, I need to buy more tokens. Let me just check and see that I didn't run over on it either. Okay, so I have enough there. Okay. So let me reshare. I did record it just in case. I just had a feeling that things always go wrong when you're actually presenting live. So if this doesn't work, I'll show the video of what the output looks like. And let me not navigate away and just kind of keep it on this for a second.
Yeah, sure. I think it says connection is reestablished, right?
Yeah.
Padmini and I have definitely been in those shoes where sometimes, when we were giving demos. So totally understandable. Yes.
It's always like this, especially let's see if it is, I might just go off camera too to see if that helps at all.
Yeah,
Let's try
that's a good
again.
point.
Yeah. I knew it. I knew this was going to happen. So I went
Did-
ahead and recorded just before we started this.
Did you see Meta's demo? The one.
Oh my God, yes. Even big companies have little boo-boos, so it's
Well,
okay.
yeah. And also this one is just my own little like play thing that I have.
Wow.
This is not this, by the way, this is more for just kind of like prototyping solutions, and this is more for like educational purposes, I would say, the Hugging Face. So this isn't definitely by any means a enterprise solution at all.
So Shirley, all these on the left, the room type length, did you define those?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yes, and actually, let me go
And-
off camera because I do think it's like a
network bandwidth.
yeah. I don't know if that will help. Let me try one more time. Because it was working right before this. Yeah, I think it might be. I don't know if it makes a difference if others go off camera, but
Yeah, let me do that as
Yeah.
well.
Okay, let me just do this once more. So you got length, you got width, you got ceiling, windows, got doors. Okay, so then you have must-have furniture. Exposed. Okay. Springs. All right, let's give it a try.
Oh, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Should be playing some Jeopardy music.
So what is the 68 seconds there?
I think it's an average around, usually
average, okay.
yeah, it should, once it hits it, it should hopefully, if it starts going way over, then I think it's going to be some sort of issue.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh no.
No worries.
I'll give it a second.
Yeah. Oh,
If not,
there.
there we go. Okay, great. Yay. All right. All right. Now
Amazing.
I can go back on camera.
Good.
It's almost, I feel like it's always like this when there's demos. So let me just go back on. Hold on. Okay, let me turn my camera. Okay. All right. Can you guys see?
Yeah.
All right, so
Yep.
basically, this is the gist of it. So if you remember, the first little guy was the home context person. He kind of generated the room. He basically said, how because he's given the instructions to kind of think about it as a designer, he basically will have suggestions like how to optimize for the natural light. One time I put the ceiling to be 20 feet, and he said, okay, well, given the height of the room, maybe this is how you operate, optimize the lighting. And then in terms of the furnishing summary, basically this is kind of telling you, okay, this is where the focal point is, so it shouldn't be blocked from the windows. It talks about some of the trade-offs. This is the aesthetic piece, which talks about, it should create an elegant feel. These are the color palettes. And then this is essentially the overall blueprint structure. So basically what this is making sure is happening is that the room is drawn to size. The windows and doors are in the places that we talked about. The chairs are placed in a certain order. So this is kind of like the bones that makes sure everything else. And the reason the output is a JSON format is so that everybody else is oriented around this very specific structure. And it's not, it's able to generate a blueprint, a Blender code. I didn't spend a ton of time on this. This is actually pretty difficult to get right, to get the CAD coding right. It's definitely not as simple as just copy and paste. It is. I do think it's possible that if you played around with the prompts in the right way, you can at least get it to a starting point. But the general idea is that it gets you the starting point code. So then, if you truly are a designer and you want to build something, whether it's Blender, whether it's any other CAD tool, you can structure it so that it can actually be something that's relatively useful. And then if you guys remember, so we got the Blender guide, the aesthetic, the furnishing, the layout, the blueprint, and then this is the final designer. So he, all this kind of goes to him. And then he takes it into account, the overall style, the design, how things are structured, where it should be. And then based on that, you can then generate the images. And we'll just give it a second. And I should probably go on camera again. But if not, I mean, this part, the images will be pretty similar to the others in terms of, the layout. But let's try it. Oh, did it not generate the image? I don't know what's going on. Oh, it's still going. Okay. So see, it's kind of, we asked for it to be kind of around the fireplace. There's the fireplace of the limestone. It's like the sage green accents, the size of the room. The general idea is that it's meant to be oriented in the same kind of layout. And between this file, this particular way, the actual blueprint, which is this, and then the Blender code, they're all the gist of it. So I'll go a little bit faster because sorry guys, took a little bit of time to get things going. But so I was gonna kind of show all the images, but I mean, the idea here is, the whole point of doing something like this would be, if you had a very nice image model, right? The DALL-E 3 is probably not the one, but you could potentially, imagine doing this for a marketing campaign or social media post. And if you wanted the same style, you can just keep the style the same. And then generate, in here, you'd be generating, a living room, a bathroom, a bedroom. But the general idea, kind of going back to the other images here, is that there's some level of consistency across it. So this is just like a fun little thing for like a weekend. I was kind of curious to see if this Asian SDK framework, how well it works. And I know there was a little bit of a, like it didn't run too quickly, but it's actually quite nice. So just going into is this group pretty familiar with frameworks? If it is, I'll skip some of this stuff and just jump into the code. Or if you guys want a quick overview, I can kind of give the high level where it fits into, the enterprise framework, that sort of thing.
So let's do the overview, Shirley, because there'll be
Yeah.
others who will see this later,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. So basically, I really like, I mean, there's lots of agent stacks, and this one isn't perfect. None of them are perfect. But I do like how this is set up. And so this text is not great, but basically what this is showing are the different layers, right? And let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay. And so basically, before we kind of go into the code, just high level first, if this is the stack, then along the lines, this is the foundational piece. This is where you would have your general computing infrastructure. I should see Azure in here. I don't, but basically, it's kind of where you're storing the data, where you're able to select your various models, the foundational model infrastructure. So then above that is basically some of these runtime infrastructures. So I'll kind of, basically, for example, if you had some sort of embedding vector databases, you would have this sitting in here. If you needed memory, which of course you would, for your agents, there's various tools that can help with that. Then above that, there's basically the protocol layer, right? So model context protocol is essentially a way for agents to talk to tools. So for example, if I wanted to create an agent that, sends someone, looks at my email, sends me a notification every month that I have a doctor's appointment, and then calls the doctor, right? So in that case, the agent would need to connect to my email, to a mobile device, just to a few other things to make that happen. So this is a way to connect to it. And then A is something that Google came out recently. In the back, I'm a little biased, but it's really just kind of like a very, very large JSON structure that the purpose of it is to tell agents how to talk to each other. So, how do we coordinate agents in a better way? In the back, and think of it as a long list of instructions. A lot of it is in this JSON format to help them coordinate how they behave. So this is getting agents to talk to tools. This is getting agents to talk to each other. I'm not as familiar with these other two, but sometimes, I don't know, they come up with their own things to be marketable. But I would say this one's the couple that comes up quite a bit. Then the orchestration layer. So this is where our agents would sit, right? So this is the agent frameworks. The one we're talking about today is the OpenAI SDK framework, but LangGraph has been around, I think, at least the last couple years. Crew AI is another one that's come out, I think maybe also around the same time. But there's a ton of them. So there's various ways that you can create these, the code to get the agents to, it's basically a bunch of functions that help your agents behave in a coordinated way. And this is what we'll focus on in a second. So this is kind of where, OpenAI SDK framework, Crew AI, LangGraph kind of sit. Then above that, there's various, tooling solutions. So for example, NAN is almost like a workflow. So if you wanted, let's say, an agent to, create a PowerPoint presentation, and then you wanted to email it to your boss, and then, you want to follow up another day with a reminder, and then, do some other things with it. So these kind of, Zapier is more of like a commercial one. End-to-end is a little bit more enterprise level. It's basically creating the workflow to make things happen. So connecting the agents with various tools to make the process happen. Then we got the Pinecone, the vector database. Oh, so basically this is RAG, just RAG retrieval. So kind of how do you talk and back and forth in a really smooth, uh, coordinated way, various and governance. So that's kind of the full piece of it. I'll jump very, very quickly to the next one, which will essentially talk about these three, right? So just to give an idea of, okay, what are the common ones? There's many out there, but the common ones that kind of come up, at least every once in a while. Let me see if I can jump to the next slide. Okay, is this. And so for this, I'll play a little video. It's a minute long, but I'll give you kind of a high-level overview of, the different agent frameworks. And
Release date. Each was built to. We'll walk through key agent frameworks by release date. We'll walk through key agent frameworks by release date. Each was built to solve a unique problem. Knowing when and why helps you choose the right tool. Let's start with LangGraph. Part of LangChain, LangGraph handles complex, stateful workflows. Picture a flowchart mapping how agents think and act. It offers persistence and debugging but has a steep learning curve. Overkill for simple projects, perfect for advanced multi-agent systems. Crew AI treats agents like a team, each with roles such as researcher, writer, or reviewer. Great for business workflows that need collaboration and quick setup. It's streamlined but opinionated, so flexibility is limited. Swarm was OpenAI's experimental take on lightweight agents. Simple, minimal, and easy to prototype. Not built for production, but great for learning agent handoffs and testing concepts. Now, this is the one we'll focus on today. The OpenAI Agents SDK, launched in March 2025, is the production-ready evolution of Swarm, OpenAI's official framework for building serious multi-agent applications. It includes built-in guardrails for safety, tracing and observability to see what's happening under the hood, and seamless agent handoffs. Designed for reliability in production environments, it's still new, so the ecosystem is growing. But if you're committed to the OpenAI platform, this is where you want to be. Here's an easy way to think about it. For complex multi-agent workflows, LangGraph is your go-to, built for orchestration and state management. For business automation where agents have clear roles, Crew AI keeps things simple and structured. When you're building production-ready OpenAI agents, use the OpenAI Agents SDK. It's the official evolution of Swarm. And as for Swarm, it's mostly retired now, an early experiment that paved the way for the Agents SDK.
So I'll caveat that and say, in reality, when you're really building a lot of these enterprise level solutions, a lot of times you end up just creating custom functions for scalability, for speed, for a lot of these different reasons. So I don't, practically, I don't know if, how much people, for example, use Crew AI. OpenAI, it's so new. I think it's meant to be production level, but to TBD as people start to build more things out. But the general idea is that these are some of the common ones. There's plenty out there, and a lot of times people just build their own functions just as you would in Python to kind of create this, but in whether it's more streamlined, more complex, etc. So with that, let me actually dive into the code itself. So the reason I like Hugging Face is just it's free, it's fast, it's just for like fun little things, but it's really easy to just kind of show the applications. Okay. So this is the code in the backend that high level, there's a few different capabilities with the OpenAI SDK framework, right? The most common one is building the agent. So this is essentially just a fancy prompt that you would give to an agent to tell them what to do. So, the little coordinator or the room design agent, the blueprint agent, all those guys, they're all agents. Then there's a thing called handoff. So basically, for example, when I was talking earlier about the blueprint agent hands it off to the final design agent. So this kind of makes sure that they're coordinated. the run basically shows you how you want it to run. So sometimes you want to run things in parallel, sometimes you want to run things in sequence. And in this particular example, we do, right? Because all these activities are interlinked. And so these are the kind of the ones that was used in here. Now, they have a lot of really nice tools. It's great that they actually have MCPs you can build out. There's ways to do built-in memory and things like that. But for this fun little thing, the general idea is to show how this will work. And if you're interested in learning more about it, you can essentially just go through this. And here you essentially see, okay, how do I define these agents? What are the different run options? And what are the different tools that you can potentially use? There's web search tools. There's an image. Oh, I didn't even know that. Maybe I think this might be new. Image generation tools, and various things that you can use it. So my general experience is pretty clear. It's well documented and relatively easy to understand. But for something simple like this, really the main thing that were used is the agents, the run, and then the handoff. I don't really see where that is, but it's one of these things in here. So really quickly, and I do want to give some time for questions. So just to reorient, right? Because I know we jumped around quite a bit. OpenAI, one of the frameworks. Within the OpenAI framework, it's open source. So these are the solutions that you would use to build the tools. Relating the agents. So these are the agents that we essentially, let me do a little. These are the agents that we built out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 agents. I think I may have gotten rid of the input one because it wasn't as helpful as I thought. So there's there's 6 agents here. I think I was trying to be cute about it, like the 7 dwarves, but it wasn't necessary, so I just got rid of one of them. And then the handoff is basically to the point about these guys hand off to the agent, the blueprint. When the blueprint is done, he takes all of this and the aesthetic and the blueprint hands it off to the final designer. So that enables it to do that. And then run is just telling it when to run. So just to kind of show you guys where this is in the code, right? So here, what you would essentially bring in is the OpenAI agents package. And here you can see I imported the agent, the runner, and the handoff. And of course, and at some point I do want to try the MCP to kind of see how it connects to other tools. And it's interesting they have an image designer. I didn't know that, but this is kind of where you would bring this in. And then here, essentially what you can see is, each agent is essentially just a very long prompt to explain what it does. So basically here, this guy's the final agent. So he is the last man and the last man in the line. So his role is basically he's going to be getting a JSON structured blueprint file. It kind of defines, the dimensions, the zones, the layout constraints. There's a image input for the blueprint. So this is not very fun to see. It's just kind of like a JSON structure, but to kind of just give a general visualization of it. He's also going to kind of generate the blueprint image that you guys saw, which was, I can't go back, but it was the image right above the picture. And then it also brings in the aesthetic agent. So these 3 things go in, and then basically it takes this information and it says, okay, if you were a elite designer, blah, 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 how you would combine this information to provide a final rendering of the design. Then the Blender code agent. So I'm trying to find the ones where there's a nice handoff that I can show you guys. Here we go. Okay, here's one. So basically the aesthetic agent, you can see that he's essentially handing off to the final agent. And you can see that the blueprint agent, which is this guy. So the aesthetic agent, the blueprint agent are both then handing it off to the final designer. And so that's where the handoff is. I think, honestly, a lot of it is just, how do I put this, is just, they make the rest of it easy, right? You can easily pick which model you want. These functions are designed for to work well as agent functions. A lot of it is really just, when you're designing these agents, is prompt engineering. So for example, if I wanted to generate a detailed prompt, I essentially wanted to be able to classify things, right? So when I see words like sofa, chair, coffee table, that's all going to be in a seating area. When I see, pet litter, etc., that's a pet zone. So these are things that, as you're playing around with it, and then in terms of the structure, okay, and here a blueprint JSON structure was actually quite helpful in terms of visualizing the output. So my point on this one is this takes the coding out of it, right? But then what it allows you to focus on is making sure that you train this little agent to do what it's supposed to do. And this is where the art is in trying to figure out, okay, what kind of structures, what kind of instructions, what kind of prompts to give to make it do the activity that it wants. And then kind of just for the last 2 minutes, the one last thing that we saw here was running the agents, right? So there's different ways of running it. You can run things in sequence. You can run things in parallel. There's a quick one that you can just run to see what's going on under the hood. And here you can see, at the very end, during the orchestration stage, I'm essentially running all of my little agents. I think I'm using the async one. Yeah, I'm running it async because in my case, all these agents, their actions are one follow the other, right? So they can't run in parallel. They have to wait till the first one is done. Obviously, if you wanted to save time and if you have, activities you can run in parallel, you can run it using the one where you're not required. You can kind of choose which one you use here. But that's the gist of it. I mean, the rest of it is just kind of, the overall design, images, graphics, some of the, back end components of it. But this isn't meant by any means to be kind of a trainer of, all the different functions of Open SDK framework. The general idea kind of going back to, the very beginning is one, what is an SDK framework? Understanding how it fits into this is essentially where the orchestration is where it lives. And then just getting a kind of a quick overview. So hopefully that was fun. That was interesting. Happy to answer questions.
Oh my God, it was fun.
Yes.
So we have one question in the chat, right? From
Actually, there were a
Aarti.
couple, right? So Aarti had a couple of questions.
You're on
Aarti, do you want to
mute,
ask them?
Aarti.
Yes, so Shirley, this was so much fun. I mean, I am so jazzed to try it myself, though I
Yeah,
don't have the skills that you have.
no, it's so easy to do, especially with vibe coding. All of the UI pieces, you can just use some sort of vibe coding tool to build that out, and then that part makes that part of the code easy. Then the framework makes the rest of it easy. So then
Yeah.
pulling it together is not as difficult as it used to be.
Maybe you should do a video for beginners like us, just to kind of walk us through. That would be fun, but can't wait to try it. So my question to you is, do typically multi-agent projects need to have all the 7 layers?
I would say enterprise level, they do.
They do,
So,
okay.
and the reason for that is because, and let me kind of share my screen again. It's not that you can't, and it kind of depends on what you're trying to build, but it'd be very difficult. And let me use the link because you can see this a lot better. Oh, okay, never mind. I'll just try to zoom in because I mean, so imagine here you, for example, you have to be able to have the compute infrastructure, right? That's like a minimum. You have to be able to choose which models you want. Once you get to this piece of it, you do want to be able to make sure you're able to run it in a manageable, stable, reliable way. Agent memory is quite important. So for example, we build a tool for market research, right? And so this is where instead of people taking, it has to operate almost like a human being in that when it answers one question, it remembers what it did before. So that's kind of like short-term memory. And in some cases, you want to have longer-term memory as well. So for example, as it does a task over and over again, that it kind of remembers and kind of is able to kind of keep that information in mind. When it gets into the, this component, for sure, because I don't know as well, these two quite as well, I don't know, maybe they're more kind of specific to their solutions, but almost always you need model context protocol because if you don't, then it doesn't do anything, right? You can't, it's not gonna, email someone, it's not going to create a presentation, it's not going to trigger some sort of event or activity. So you do need that. Agent frameworks, yes, I mean, at a minimum, it's hard not to use it, right? So at a minimum, lane graph, lane chain is used. Sometimes you kind of have to supplement it with your own custom coding, so that sometimes it helps it run faster and things like that. Some of these tools in terms of the tooling and enrichment, for sure. I mean, end to end, very common, because you just need to have these big workflows, right? So for example, if I wanted, let's say, I'm trying to think of a good example. Let's say I want to create a tutor, like a tutor for students, right? And first I want the tutor to draft a homework, right? Then I want the tutor to email it. Then I want the tutor to grade it. So now it has to connect to email, it has to connect to the workflow, there needs to be a workflow that's able to sequence the agent to connect an email, to connect to a PowerPoint, to send a reminder to the student, to grade the homework. And so these things, it's very difficult to do it without some sort of like well-built workflow in place. Zapier, I've played around with it. It's very much just like for yourself. I wouldn't do anything extensive with it. It breaks all the time. My experience. Maybe I'm not using it properly. The end-to-end is a little bit more, enterprise level. And then for sure, I mean, here maybe it just depends on the applications. Some of these you may need or you may not. This is probably where it gets a little bit more optional, because these are like, this is Microsoft Copilot. These are just other applications that's kind of pre-built. And then for observability, yes, you kind of want to see how, things are performing. And then reliability, yeah, you kind of need some of these governance tools. So if you're truly building, I mean, here, all I did was do this, right? All I used was this, but for sure, if it'd be very difficult to build something that will run smoothly all the time. And you saw, right, when we were running, it ran into an error just because I had my camera on, so when you want these things to run smoothly, as if you had a colleague that works as a human, the full, some of these things maybe are more optional, but a lot of these kind of things are really critical. Yeah.
May I request, Shirley, if you can share the link to this thing?
Yeah,
I would
absolutely.
go deeper on it.
I will do that,
Thank you.
yes, during this call.
Who else? We see two hands, Tripat and Evan. I don't know who was first.
Tripat, you can go. Tripat, you go first.
Okay, thanks, Evan. Hi, Shirley. Firstly, I'd like to say I loved your home designing example. It was so aesthetic.
Thank you.
So I was just curious to know, like, what's the back end of designing an agent that is deciding on the aesthetics of the image? Because I feel like that is so subjective. So like, how do you design the code for that particular agent?
And so that part is now all prompting, right? And so that now it used to be very kind of rule-based in a way, but now it's, let me just share this again. Now it's just how good are you? So think of it as if you're a really good designer and you're now coaching someone, you can probably give them your way of thinking about design, right? And so, for example, this final rendering agent, I'm not a designer, so it's probably not as good as it could be. But for example, in my mind, the way I'm thinking about it is it needs to be structured, right? So I have to follow this JSON structure so that my room, all of the layouts in terms of, I don't see it anymore, but all of the layouts, it's in the output, but all of the layouts are following a particular room. I would want to be able to understand the lighting. I would want to understand, the zoning capacity of it, something around staging. So how do I make sure that it fits the mood and the lighting, how the space is balanced? And so this is where the artistry comes in. And this is where, if you're building something and it's almost like you're kind of coaching an associate to say, hey, as somebody with that expertise, this is how I would think about it. And then this is where you would craft the approach. It's more now of more of an art in how you describe it than hardcore logical rules behind it.
Okay, because I was thinking like even if we type in like we want a sofa in the living room, but like what kind of sofa it selects, that's so that's all
Yeah.
that the agent does itself and not like that we can
You could, right? So for example, if I said, okay, I want you to, well, the agent would decide. So you wouldn't be able to say, if this, then that, because that would just become a rule-based thing, which you could incorporate it into the agent. But if you wanted to say, I really want you to take into account the fabric of the sofa, to pick what type of sofa. You know how they have like chase lounges and things like that. So then you could change your prompt to incorporate things like that. And so this is this is not technology anymore or programming. This is purely artistry. So the idea is if you're able to work with somebody who really has that experience, and you work with some good prompt engineers, you can almost capture the really good artistic way of thinking and get that into the agent. So think of it as like a little associate that's trying to learn, and then these are the instructions to help them do it in the right way. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Evan?
Hey, yeah, Shirley, thank you. Just, I have a question. I have a comment, but a question. Someone told me that you made and you don't have to answer this because it was I never heard this before, and it was just crazy. The, you said that agents can be run in parallel and or in sequence, but I had one person tell me that if you do it in parallel, it's better to use an agent as a tool. I never heard that. And I don't know if people do that in real life or why they would do that. It just didn't sit right with me. So I said, I'm never going to ask that. But have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
Don't answer, but have you ever heard that? Like,
Oh, sorry. So I can definitely see situations where you would want both. I mean, in this case, one agent always handed off the design would be handed off to the next, right? But so for example, let's say you have a you have a tutor, right? In parallel,
yeah,
you want a tutor to check and let's say, the student gives you a PDF of their entire homework. I'm totally making this up. I don't know. But let's say in the PDF file, there's a portion for English homework answers, there's a portion for math homework answers. You could set up two agents in parallel to say, okay, you're a math agent, so your job is to check for math. You're a English major agent. You have to tutor like an agent to check for your homework for English. Both can be running at the same time. And that it's actually better because then you don't have to wait until one is done.
I know, but one agent cannot be a tool. Like that person said, run one agent as the tool for the other agent, and that didn't make sense to me. An agent cannot be a tool. That right? Am I thinking crazy?
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure. Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I don't know what his context is for that. I can see maybe, I don't know, let's say I'm just thinking an activity where you're doing something and somebody else is doing something, right? I
Yeah,
think maybe it's like the semantics of what he's saying. I can definitely see an agent helping another agent
yeah,
simultaneously. I think maybe it's his choice of the word tool, which sounds a lot more kind of robotic, like rote and less of an agent. So I don't
right.
know if that's his intention, but for sure you can have one agent helping another simultaneously. But if you meant, agent, all it does is, one task automatically. You
Yeah.
could use it, but is it a good use for it? Probably not. Because now you're
Uh,
using an LLM to do a very simple tool where compute-wise, it'd probably be a lot easier to do it and cheaper to do it without,
Without,
using
right.
LLM.
And I just I didn't want to confuse anyone, but when the client said that to me, I just looked at them and said, I don't even know what you mean. But
But
Shirley,
sorry,
can,
Evan, is that using like an MCP and accessing another agent? Like instead of accessing, Gmail, accessing Excel or whatever, accessing another agent. Is that what they meant? Maybe.
maybe, can you guys hear me still?
Yes.
Yeah, we are
Yeah, we
frozen.
can.
I froze a little bit. Maybe, but I'm going to go back and clarify. But just so you guys know, this is how people will just talk and say anything in real life, and you have to go back and clarify and say, what do you mean? Like you don't want to overpromise and say, yeah, we could. That's an example of extreme confusion. But Shirley, if one tool needs escalation, one tool says the Blender agent cannot do something because it needs to be escalated to a human. Is it possible to tell OpenAI SDK, we need human in the loop before you use the tool? Can you give that approval, like to Blender or some agent like that in the code?
Yeah, you could. You would definitely create a human in the loop. Very, very doable for sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. That was the main question. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Hey, Reshma?
Hi, Shirley. Yeah, first of all, thank you so much. This was a wonderful presentation, and very, very, very got a lot of knowledge out of this. I had a quick question. Given the pace at which things are constantly changing, OpenAI recently announced what they call the agent kit, right? So, what does that mean? Is that like a step up to the agent SDK? Is that more of a low code version? I'm just trying to understand the differences as to when would I use the agent SDK versus
That's a great question. It's crazy now. Sam, he gave this warning a year ago, which is don't build things that are too specific because we'll probably build it at some point. And they weren't joking because this thing, I mean, it's a really powerful tool for sure. Think of it, I mean, I need to play around with it. I haven't had a chance, and this is definitely on my to-do list. I kind of see it almost like, have you heard of Alteryx? Kind of like
Yes.
it's kind of like the Alteryx of agent flow. So you kind of drag and drop and get things going.
Okay,
My suspicion is that they probably allow you to do custom coding. So they can probably, you do the drag and drops, but if you wanted to really code out an MCP, you can also code out the MCP and connect it in. If you wanted to build out, maybe some sort of knowledge graph, you can probably connect it into it. I don't know. So I need to look into it, but the way I understand it is kind of like, like little, Alteryx workflows where you can get these agents to connect to each other and to tools.
Got it. So it looks like they were just trying to position themselves to compete with the Crew AI or an N8 and more of a low code.
Yeah. That's a way to think about it. I would say those, I mean, I don't know. I need to play around with it. And don't quote me, but my suspicion is that they probably have like a very low-code version, but I doubt it's enterprise ready. It could probably be a good thing, to accelerate the stuff you do day to day, right? So for example, if you want to clean out your email box, or you want to like aggregate your notes, like meeting notes, and you don't want to take it and you want to send it out to certain people, like your activities, they want to change how they do contracting, or they want to change how they do pricing. I would be surprised if at least that what they demoed is what you'll be using. My guess is that there'll probably be a lot of custom coding that goes behind it.
Got it. Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah. But I need to look. I haven't had a chance, but it's definitely, when that came out, I was like, I guess I have homework this weekend.
No, I hear you. Yeah, it's hard to keep up with these things.
Yeah.
I know we are 5 minutes over. I don't know. Does anybody have questions? Padmini, do you have a question?
No, I think Aarti had another question.
Go ahead, Aarti.
Thanks, Uvika. So, Shirley, for someone who's just getting into the space of building agentic or multi-agentic systems, what would your recommendation be?
I would say there's this great, there's some really great free training out there. That's probably the best way to start. In fact, give me 2 seconds. Someone just shared a really good free one with me. Just give me 1 second. Let me bring it so I can share it right now. Actually.
And you guys can save the chat. So if you click on the 3 dots up there in the chat, you can save it, and you can save these links in there.
Perfect. So this one, so I took a pretty long, when I was doing an AI course, we started a WhatsApp group chat. And so it's kind of nice because we kind of share things as we find them. And this one was literally shared today. They shared this this Kaggle is doing a free, I think it's like a 5-day training. And it's all free and it's in a hands-on kind of way. Hang on one second. So let me send that. I'll share this. Maybe what I'll do is I'll share right after the chat because I think I can do that too. But or you can look it up. It's called the 5-day AI Agent Intensive with Google. It's like a Google Kaggle sponsored thing. And let me try one more time.
They run this one a
Sorry,
few
I was
times a
on
year.
mute. I have shared it here. See if that's the one.
Yeah, I think this should be the one because they run
Mm.
this one a few times a year. They ran this one before as well. It's a good
Yes.
one.
Yeah, I think this could be a good one. And it's 5 days, so it's a doable one to start. I think that's a really nice place to get started. And then then there are ones where you pay for them. So there's another more intensive one where it's $500, but I mean that's where you really, get really hands in building agents. So I kind of just, I would say start with kind of the free courses, then just search around. And I'm happy to provide some suggestions too on other courses you can take. And then honestly, I would say a lot of it is YouTube. A lot of it is YouTube, and you kind of, that's literally what I'm going to do this weekend. I'm going to go on YouTube and see what they're doing with this whole agent framework and try it out. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shirley.
Sure.
Anybody else?
I do have a question, Shirley. So I was wondering what you have built. Is that possible for you to share? Because I'm actually working on designing,
Yeah.
doing homes. Yeah,
Yeah,
very
happy to
specific.
share.
So I thought I could adjust the sizing, what it is, but actually the style is very similar to what you have built. So I thought with a few minor adjustments, I could utilize this tool to visualize how things would look.
Yes, I think on Hugging Face I can share, and if not, I can send you the code. If you share with me, we connect on LinkedIn or you share your email, I can share with the team and they can pass it on. Either way works. But happy
Yeah,
to.
you can share it with us, Shirley. We can pass it on to the folks.
Perfect.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is so exciting.
Yeah.
Often the presentations are talking about it, but seeing you doing hands-on work, I'm so excited.
I want to do
That's what
another
we do
one.
here.
Yeah, this is so fun. I mean, I love that there's a community because I mean, it's just like this with my WhatsApp, right? You learn things that you never would, and
Oh
it's
my
always
God,
fun
yeah.
to talk to people that are excited about the same things. So I have another one in mind. Maybe I'll do another one if you guys are interested as well.
Yes, please
Oh,
come back. We
100%.
love repeats.
100%.
This is so much fun. So I'm
100%.
glad you guys enjoyed it.
Oh my God.
Yes,
And
this was great.
and I just love it when so many of us get together. That too, like you said, on a Wednesday evening,
Yeah, and everybody's, I
So.
mean, it's at the end and everybody's enthusiastic and asking questions. So
Oh, Tammy has a
Tammy?
question, I think.
I know, I can't find the hand buttons.
It's okay. We see you, Tammy. Go ahead.
Just to offer some comment for what it's worth, Shirley, thank you so much. Separately, I've been learning Mind Studio. So I don't know if you're familiar with that platform, and that's agent building. In fact, I got certified as an AI agent developer. It's just really a fancy word for a few notches above, barely scratching the surface. But I guess what I wanted to say, and so ironically, that you showed that interior design agent, because that's one that I'm building as well. I was going to post it today on LinkedIn, but I had a little bit of an error and I didn't have time to figure it out. So I didn't want to post an error, but I love the simplicity of it, which is all I had to do, because I'm selling a house as well. We've got rental homes. all I did was I took a picture of the empty living room, and then I built an agent with design decoration. I just said, do you want, minimalist, the different design styles, and then it decorated it for me. So I didn't have to do all of the other sub agents that you did. I just, I was able to create the system prompts and get something just kind of good enough to showcase. And of course, if I were a real interior designer, I would do a lot more. But I guess in the spirit of sharing here, I would encourage folks to check out Mind Studio as well as an agent builder and orchestration platform, because someone like me who can be starting at zero and to move up into an agent developer, I think just kind of what I love in this age of AI is the barrier to entry to create is so much
low.
lower. Like 2 years ago, I would have never been able to do something like this, and now I was at 30 days and voila.
And you're going to demo it to us, Tammy.
Well,
Yes,
well,
we already
I
have
will, I
you.
will.
We have talked about it. So Padmini and I, we're already talking about having you
I was in
coming
a train the trainer session today, so there are a lot of us who are kind of interested, but we're too scared because we feel like we barely know enough to be dangerous, let
come
alone
on,
teach
Tammy, you
anyone
know
else. I
so
would
much.
not have had the same
Please.
sophistication as
Yes.
Shirley
Not
today.
at
But
all. No, not at all. You guys are too nice.
but in the spirit of sharing, I mean, like this is a safe, friendly group. I just wanted to say that
totally.
out loud for y'all to take a look at it. And I just love how we can, dive in and share and create. And again, the barrier to entry is just so much lower
I
than
second
years
that.
ago.
Mind Studio is actually a great tool. I had tried that, I think, a few months ago. And by the way, I heard, Tammy, they're coming up with the next cohort.
Oh, is that right? Well, if y'all can
Yeah.
get in, I mean, I got in for free, obviously. So that's a huge value and benefit that, now they're charging thousands of dollars for.
Maybe you can refer us, Tammy.
Yes, the next one is paid.
Oh, no.
Well, follow their CEO. And so if you ever see one that's posted for free, because I'm already in, I can certainly do my best to, raise you up on the list. But they become quite popular.
Yes. All right. Well, anybody else? Thank you so much, Tammy. That was great. Thank you. Well, if not, we would like to thank you, Shirley, and everybody for attending on a Wednesday night. As many of us are echoing the sentiment, this was truly phenomenal. We love learning by doing, and this was excellent. I'm sure that everybody's going to be eager to trying out everything that you showed us today. So with that, we would like to close the call. Stay tuned. We have an exciting event coming up, which is our 1-year anniversary. So if you are going to be in DC, please do join us. We'd be so happy to see you. And then we also have a fabulous speaker who's going to be speaking to us on October 31st. So while your kids are going crazy with candy, you can put your learning hats on and you can come and learn with us on a Friday. We have an exciting speaker from Google who's going to be coming and sharing her learning. So Padmini, did you want to add anything?
No.
All right.
Good night. Thank you for joining.
Good night.
Thanks,
Thank
Shirley.
you so much. Thank you, Shirley. You were amazing. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.